and running again, and we're going to see some insights with him. Good morning, Felix. How you
Good
doing?
morning. Good morning, Paul. I'm doing great. Yourself?
Good. Everything's positive.
Everything's positive. There's a positive thing, and looking forward to this election season.
Good, good. I've been seeing a lot of good stuff from you. Tell me why coming back again. ¿Qué pasó?
Well, primary reason, I've been keeping up with the Commissioner's Court, and I feel that we need to bring the expertise that I offered the last time, and I will offer again this time. You know, my expertise, as you know, I'm a certified public accountant.
Okay.
I understand the budget process, the audit process, and I'm quite frankly concerned that the fund balance is only at $19 million. When I left office in 2004, if my memory serves me correctly, it was $15 million. So you ask yourself, well, what's happening? Well, I know that we haven't increased the tax rate, and that's a good thing because, as you know, I've never supported any tax increase to the property tax rate, and I will not on this next term if the voters from Precinct 4 give me the opportunity. So I started looking at the budgets and doing my own research. The tax base has grown. You know, we have more taxpayers, more companies coming into Webb County. The tax rate has remained the same, but as the county grows, we need more services, right? And we have approximately 1,400 employees in the county of Webb.
And that's including all the departments?
That's including all the departments.
Okay.
And I believe that when I left office, I thought it was less than that, but the other day when I was at the auditor's office, they confirmed that it was about the same amount. So I need to know what's going on, you know, because it does look like the payroll for the county of Webb is about 75% of the total budget. The total budget of Webb County for this fiscal year is approximately $99 million. And about 75% of that is payroll and employee benefits.
Okay.
So we need that. A lot of people in the campaign trail, there's a lot of smart voters out there, a lot of smart taxpayers.
I agree with that.
And they've been challenging me and saying, Commissioner, your slogan is accountability, less taxes. I hope you mean that. And I said, of course I mean that. As a matter of fact, when I served the last time and I had the privilege and honor to serve Precinct 3, I made a promise. I made a promise that I wasn't going to accept any salary increases, that I was going to donate 10% of my salary to start a park. At the time.
And you did that, which was that big park over there. See, a lot of people do not understand that you initiated that park. Well, you and Belmares at that time.
That's correct. I like to say, Paul, that I planted the seeds.
No, you did.
You know, there was just a small portion that the county basically donated money. You know, I combined the funds that I had in the Precinct 3 discretion funds, CIP funds, capital improvement funds. And then I was fortunate that Jim Belmares had recently won the election for councilman for that area.
Right.
And that's an example where the city and the county came together. An excellent idea, good joint venture. And now we see the fruits. We see the fruits. You know, people like the park. And I like it too, and I'm very proud of that park. And as a matter of fact, I want to do something like that in Precinct 4.
Sure. And
hopefully we can get some of these private landowners to donate some of the land. Maybe somewhere around 35, you know, not too far. Maybe mile marker 10, 11, 12, not too far. The city's growing, the county's growing. We need more parks, and you know, we need it's all. I know people like to say, and elected officials like to say that it's all about the quality of life. Well, let's just, you know, actions speak louder than words. You know, let's do something about that.
That's exactly right. What did you see when you were commissioner, when you served as commissioner in your tenure? What changes or what goals did you say, gee, well, I wish I could have done that you're going to try to do now?
Well, one of the things that I used to question all the time back in the early 2000s when I served was that I was a firm believer of having a very strong HR, human resources department. And the reason why I say that, Paul, is because we need to hire the best employees.
Sure.
The employees got to meet the minimum qualifications. And another reason was because if you have a strong HR department, it alleviates, if not eliminate totally, the political influence of hiring employees. And if you in certain positions, you need to have the education. And it's very important to me that we have a department, a human resources department, that it's up to standards. Now, other things that concern me is the Road and Bridge Department. In the last term, Precinct 3 has a few county roads, but not that many. Precinct 4, as you well know, is the area, not only does it include rural areas, and we have Peñitas and Los Botines, but it has the mine road. You know, Paul, that's the number one issue that the citizens and the voters and taxpayers of Precinct 4 have addressed to me. I don't know how many times when I've done my block walking and have had my meetings at Rancho Viejo, Quail Creek, La Bota, and all those people that live in that area that use the mines road.
That's a concern.
Farm to Market Road, 1472. It's a state road.
Yeah, and nothing's ever happened to it.
The people are very frustrated, and I don't blame them. I've been out there several times, and especially at 5 o'clock, between 5 and 6 o'clock. My God, the traffic situation is
at any
it's
time.
bad.
It's bad.
It's bad, and I think one of the first things I'm going to do if the people give me the opportunity and vote for me is I'm going to ask the county commissioner to appoint me to the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization. As you well know, that's the organization that prioritizes the infrastructure projects in that area. And I'm going to be very vocal. As you know, not only do I have a loud voice, but I can be pretty persistent.
And that's what happened to Laredo, I guess, in the decades of 80 and 90. They never expanded outwards. They never saw the future. All the roads are planning, and they planned and zoned a bunch of stuff that just now they're saying, like, what happened then? So I think now we have a different mindset of individuals that actually want Laredo to grow forward. And I think now it's a time that, you know what, this is an issue that it's been going on for a very long time. We have to address it, and hopefully the state can now come in there and with you all's help, and let's make this go forward, and because that right there is a hindrance, all that area.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I mean, if we're going to keep up with the growth in the city and in the county, we have to have a master plan.
Yeah.
And we do have to follow it. And if it changes, I mean, we can't predict the future, but as the county continues to grow, that master plan can be revised and amended. But it's very important that the landowners in that area work with the local government and the state. And because people are telling me, well, maybe part of the solution will be more veins to Highway 35. And actually, I've had meetings with the people of Rancho Viejo and Quail Creek. And these residents are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, of course.
They mentioned to me, Commissioner, we have discussed building a road along the Rio Grande. We have discussed a solution as an upper deck. We have discussed more veins to 35. And the one that kind of surprised me, because I didn't think they were that knowledge. I mean, I was surprised that they knew that there was a potential fifth bridge in South Laredo by Rio Bravo. And they're telling me that would alleviate some of the traffic congestions, at least the trucking.
Yeah,
the truck.
Because you have two bridges that way.
Yes.
You have two bridges, and it's two bridges that come into the largest port of the nation.
Absolutely.
And it's bottlenecked right there in that little area.
Absolutely.
And that to me is just absurd. You talk about the smart voter. Now it's a different voter. Okay, a decade ago when we saw that, it was either you were for the judge or you were for the sheriff, and ahí te peinabas. And now it's like, you know what? Let's look at each individual. Let's vote on each individual, and let's see what each individual has done, their education, and so on and so forth, and let's vote forward. It's no longer this. You know what I'm talking about.
I think I see where you're coming from. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I can relate to what you're saying because I do see it while I'm doing this. Canvassing the precinct, when I walk and knock on the door, and they answer, and they see me and they recognize me, and they start asking me questions. I mean,
they know it's changed. I mean, before nobody knew what was going on. Now it's out in the open, and I think now it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game.
I think
a different voter.
That's correct, and I think programs like your program that you're, and I can't thank you for having me here today, but programs like yours, the more information, I mean, social media.
Yeah.
It's a different world. We didn't have social media back in the
That's exactly right.
And
That's what
when I ran the last time.
And people are voicing their opinions in a heartbeat.
That's correct.
When you're doing something wrong, you're going to know right
That's
away.
That's correct, and they're going to tell you. You know, they're going to tell you if you said something in the air and you didn't keep that promise, they'll let you know next time.
Yeah, in the heartbeat. So things have changed. Things have changed. The voter has changed. Let's. What are things that you would go in to change immediately?
Well, one of the first things that I'm going to try to do if the voters of Precinct 4 elect me to represent them as their county commissioner is the first thing I'm going to do is sponsor an item to lower the taxes for our senior citizens and our veterans.
Sure.
And let me expand on that. The last time I was a commissioner, I introduced an item on the agenda to increase the tax exemption amount for senior citizens, anybody 65 and over. At the time, the exemption was 15,000. The item on the agenda that I sponsor increased it to 50,000. So on the first 50,000, you don't pay taxes on your house, the valuation on your house, or your house, mainly your residence.
Sure.
So this time around, I'm going to increase it to 100,000. Roughly, it's going to equate to about $700, more or less, for every person that's 65 and over. And it's also going to be for our veterans. That's one of the first things I want to do.
Veterans of any age?
That's correct. Another thing that I want to do is be appointed to the MPO, like I already mentioned. I definitely want to be appointed to the MPO, and we need to communicate. And maybe I can come back on your show again.
Yeah, anytime.
And communicate to you what the projects, the infrastructure projects on Mines Road, so the public can be aware that we're actually working on it, and this is the status, and this is how much funds have been committed by the state of Texas. The other thing that I like to do is look into improving the fund balance. And again, I bring my expertise as a county commissioner, previous county commissioner, but also as a CPA.
Explain that. Elaborate.
As a CPA, I'm a certified public accountant. I understand the financial reports. So I know how much revenue is coming in and how much we can control of that revenue. Like I mentioned earlier, the total revenue for the county of Webb is approximately $99 million a year. So we need to live within our budget.
Right.
Now, the concerns that I have, and a lot of people have addressed this to me, there's a perception out there that we might have in certain departments, not all departments, but on certain departments, we might have too many employees. The one that they mentioned to me recently was that the Commissioner's Court. And I remember that when I left office, I only had one employee. I was a secretary.
Right.
And it's my understanding in my review of the budget, now they have 4 positions.
4 secretaries?
They have different positions. There might be a secretary, public information officer. I'm not sure what the titles are, to be honest with you. But that's something I would look into it, see what prompted that, if there was really a need for that. And if there's not a need for that, then we need to eliminate that. Now, a lot of concerns also from the constituents of Precinct 4, like I said, they're informed. They're telling me what's going on with the county attorney. How come he doesn't want to do his job? Why did the Commissioner's Court have to create another department? I said, well, I don't have all the answers. I haven't really researched it and studied what happened there. But I think all elected officials need to work together.
Yeah, for sure.
The voters of this county expect us to be professional, be courteous, respect our differences, without having to file lawsuits. Anytime,
Every time
I always used to question all these outside attorney fees, Paul.
And you've done that since the past.
I've done it.
You
I've done
were
it.
the one that was saying, why do we have to hire him? We have it right here.
Right here. I remember one time back then there was a little dispute between the then sheriff and former judge. They had a dispute, and then they hired attorneys, and I kept questioning why. Why do we have to do this? We have a county attorney. Why can't we, use his expertise? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that we need to cut is the consultant fees. That really just doesn't sit very well with me, being an accountant and being conservative. When it comes to taxpayers' money, I'm very conservative. And I think a lot of these costs can be eliminated from the budget. And the bottom line is we need to increase the fund balance because we made a commitment to our bondholders in New York. We have about $78 million of debt they're either certificate of obligations or just bonds.
Right.
That general obligation bonds. That we make the promise to the bondholders in New York that we were gonna keep a fund balance of at least 15% of our total budget, a total general fund budget, which right now it's 99 million. 15% of that is roughly about 15 million. So we're meeting that, but we're not exceeding it by much. And all it takes is another hit of health insurance costs.
That thing goes down.
And that thing goes down. Okay?
So there's no buffers within anything. No?
No, sir. Other things that I want to do if I'm elected this time around, Paul, is that economic development. People talk about it all the time, and I'm glad that other elected officials, like in the city, are promoting economic development for the city and the county of Webb. And I do believe that if an outside company has good intentions of coming into Laredo, Texas, and Webb County and provide jobs, I'm willing to listen to them. The whole package.
We have to.
We have to. We need to look at the whole package, and if it's a good deal for the city and the county, let's negotiate.
Yeah.
And if we can offer them tax abatement for 5 years, I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that.
We're losing a lot of kids that are going out, they're graduating, and they're going elsewhere because there's no jobs here.
Correct.
And they're going to San Antonio, they're going abroad, and we're losing a lot. And in fact, let's just say we were talking to one of the trustees, and roughly it's about 1,500 per class, per high school, between 1,500 to 2,000, depending on the high school. Well, if you multiply that,
Yep.
in 10 years, when they get married and they have a kid, you have a lot of people here in Laredo. Okay? So we need jobs. We need jobs. We need high-paying jobs. We need jobs, period. And that's something that we need to get here. And if we can bring in companies, I'm glad that you're saying that you're open for that, because a lot of people, I think they're close-minded. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. You know, and that's something that people say, oh, you know, we can't do this because it goes against. No, wait a minute. We need if there's going to be a new company, look at all the building construction employees that they're going to be hiring, so on and so forth. It's
a domino effect.
Exactly right, and we need that.
One of the things that I know, one of the persons that I met in the campaign trail or when I was knocking on doors was mentioning along those lines, economic development, was questioning that I guess he knew of a local company, but the city had granted a tax abatement, and I don't support that, Paul. It has to be a new company that's coming in, and it's gonna, like you say, create jobs and build a building, so on and so forth. If a company already exists in Laredo, Texas, in the county of Webb, they know that they're here. And they already know that they're gonna
business.
So why are we gonna give them abatement? You know. So anyway, that was one issue that was brought up on the campaign trail, and I just want to mention that to you.
Good points. Good points of view. Good points of view that touch a lot of people's hearts, and that's the voter that's out there that has not voiced a silent vote. Okay, we have a lot of voters out there, and we saw a different voter now. I talked to my cousin here, Sergio, all the time, is this past election with jail. A lot of people stood up that you don't hear before. And guess what? That thing was shut down.
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't because of the jail. It was just the way it was done. And that's going to come back in probably 5 years or 6 years because we need that. But, you know, the stuff about raising taxes and doing all this stuff, you know, people are going to snap on that real quick.
Let me share something on the jail. In my last term, when I first took office in 2001, there was a company out of Louisiana that was interested in building a detention center in the county of Webb with their money, with private funds. And their interest was they knew that the local jail here in Webb County was overcrowded.
Right.
And they knew at the time that we had a lot of federal prisoners.
Sure.
And as you well know, the federal government is not in the jail business. So they wanted to build this private jail in working together with the county because they needed a local agreement with the county of Webb. And I got interested because being a business person and one that wants to save money, and I was trying to generate other sources of revenue for the county, they gave me a deal, or they presented a deal, where they would build this detention center, and then after 25 years, they would give it back. They would give it to us for free, $1, I think, something like that. So imagine, and I've been out of office 16 years.
Yeah.
So we could have had this detention center already
About 5 years more.
yeah,
5,
with no
6 years. Yeah.
with no funds from the local government or the local taxpayers. We need to think out of the box, and we need to, when opportunity like that comes, we need to, there's always studies, Paul, and that's another thing that it bothers me, because we do have the in-house knowledge. There's a lot of people like self, Sergio Mora, other individuals that would like to serve in a committee, and maybe for no pay. And you have expertise. Why do we need consultants to come tell us that, we need this or we don't need that?
And pay them from out of yeah. No, we have plenty of great people here with great abilities. And listen, hey, and if the person's been making money, listen to them. There's something about it,
Exactly.
And what are you doing wrong that you're, and always be open for that. Be open for constructive criticism. You know what? You're doing this wrong. Snap out of it. You guys can, if you go this route, you can triple your money, and do that. And that's something that people here. You know what? Vamos para San Antonio. Vamos para. I grew up with that old slogan: "Keep the buck in Laredo."
Yes.
Nobody's keeping anything here. Everything va para San Antonio, Houston, y que Austin. Parale. How about us?
I hear you.
It's kind of sad.
I'm with
It's
you.
kind of sad, but I'm glad. Hopefully, another opportunity, another deal like that has been struck, and people here can realize it and move it, and just get into it. Because
I agree. I thought that was a good idea. I mean, and maybe I didn't have all the ins and outs, and maybe there was a reason why the sheriff department and the commissioner's court at the time didn't pursue it.
they have to get those personal issues out of the way,
Exactly.
and that's something that
Exactly.
I said to myself, okay, a decade has passed. The new people are coming in there. You're seeing it different, but there's still some there that are lingering with these little personal issues. Hey, wait a minute, parale, let's go forward. Commissioner's court's not for you guys to be dogging each other up there in the court, right? It's for us to. If you guys have something to do it in the office and yell at each other, and then go out there and be nice, because all we do is burn the county.
Well, I agree. I even though I might have had some differences in the past when I was a commissioner with
Sure.
the former county auditor, I worked with him.
You didn't go up there and insult them.
No. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I used to complain about was that I always wanted a complete set of financial statement. Being a CPA,
Of course.
it takes more than just one page or 2 page. Look how many pages the report is right now. It's about 100 pages. All right, and maybe people don't get it and don't understand it, but I do.
But you do.
I do.
And and if you get somebody that's a businessman, a true businessman, or a professional that goes in there, like yourself, or a lawyer goes in there that understands this, then hey, snap up to it. They're gonna catch what's going on wrong. Okay, but if you have somebody that's never had a business, never in their life had a business, nobody that's ever had to worry about writing a check for payroll. Understand what I'm saying? Nobody's ever said, you know what, I need to pay my employees, and I'm going to suffer this month because I didn't have enough. I have to budget this money, or else my business is going to go under. If you've never worried about that, then you can do whatever you want with somebody else's money, and that's what's happening there right now, I guess.
I'm laughing because I can relate to that. That's
You
why
know
I
what
think
I'm
I have a few
saying?
more white hairs.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
Yeah.
I've been a few payroll periods there
You
that
know,
I
that
had to
shit,
pull, make some miracles, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to shuffle money and move it from here. And some people go up there and they have no clue of ever owning a business.
I think the bottom line, like I said earlier, we do need to cut the wasteful spending. I know most people that are running for office say that, but you know what? I actually mean it. I have a commitment and a proven record. I have a history in the county of Wet, and the history, in my opinion, is that I was very conservative with the taxpayers' money. And as a matter of fact, I hardly ever travel. When I was a county commissioner, and there's the minutes and there's the documents are there if you want to vouch for what I'm, excuse me, for what I'm telling you. I would not travel. And then some of the other commissioners would tell me, well, why come you don't need travel money or what? And I know I'm going to save it because people are telling me, well, it's just only $1,000, $2,000. What is that going to do to the budget or the fund balance? Well, if everybody can save $1,000 of their budget, might be $300,000 at the end of the year that we saved. And if you get $300,000 times 10 years, that's $3 million.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
So again, people say, well, he's a number guy. Yeah, but I'm more than a number guy. I can make the tough decisions, Paul. I think you know me. Yeah. I don't shy away. Some decisions, you're gonna, especially in this arena of county government, you are gonna make some enemies. But I always vote my conscience, and I always vote what's right and what's right for the voters and the taxpayers of Webb County.
That's absolutely correct. Now, what else would you like to express?
Well, let me just touch upon my platform for this for Precinct 4. I think I stated already that I will not vote for a tax increase. I will not accept a salary increase. If the commissioners are paid approximately $78,000.
When you were there, how much were you getting?
$42,000, and I donated 10% out of that for the park, for North Central Park. I would seek federal, state grants and private grants, and work with the city of Laredo to build a regional park in Precinct 4, similar to North Central Park. I think we dream big. It's funny when Jim Belmares and I got together. It was at the old Cotula restaurant, and we were talking. Well, and I was saying I want something like Central Park in New York, and we were like, dreaming big, and to the grace of God and the will of God, look what we have today. May not be as big as the New York Central Park, but I think I like it.
It's a great site. It's a great park. People use it all the time, and people that's what people needed.
That's correct.
And we need that. We need a little bit more of how can I say, more community involvement in that sense.
I agree with you.
We don't have people running in the streets, and and if we do, you see one, two, but we need more activity.
I agree. And
that needs to happen.
And just to continue, if I may.
Sure.
The rest of my points here on my platform for this time around is that I would work with the MPO. Yeah, and I already stated that's the Metropolitan Planning Organization. But also, there's a new entity in town, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's the Regional Mobility Authority.
What is that?
That's another layer of government, and I think it consists of individuals and maybe some government officials too. And I think that was created by the state of Texas. Okay. And the governor appointed some of these people in this authority.
And what's their
I believe, and don't quote me on this, it's just my initial research that I've done. They have very similar goals as the MPO, but it's just the MPO is mainly the city of Laredo County and the Webb County and TxDOT. The Regional Mobility Authority, I believe, it's not necessarily those entities. It's just private citizens that are maybe have the same goals. And by being in the MPO, I think that, like I said earlier, I can address the mine road situation. Now, another thing that I want to do, like I stated earlier, I want to promote economic development for more high-paying jobs by offering the tax abatements to company. I mentioned earlier about the item in the agenda to lower the taxes for senior citizens and veterans. And the last one that I want to mention that I need people to understand, and I think a lot of people already have mentioned to me while I've been doing my block walking, is that I don't have any conflicting loyalties. I don't work for another governmental entity. I don't work for the school district. I don't work for the city. I'm a private citizen. I'm a private businessman. And I have the time and the compassion to represent the interests of Precinct 4 on the Commissioner's Court. And while I've been doing this block walking and I've met a lot of people in Precinct 4, I can tell you they're very humble people, knowledgeable people, and they really want good government and efficient government.
Yeah, and that's everybody's concern. I think everybody talks about it, but very few stand up and voice it. And now we're seeing a lot more standing up and voicing that. And like I said, people have changed. It's no longer that miedo que tenían, that they're being scared because so and so was gonna come back to haunt them and if they said something wrong. No,
Correct.
you know, we still live in the United States and we have freedom of speech, and
Exactly.
you understand what I'm saying. So that's
That's the best country in the world.
absolutely, absolutely. Anything else we can say?
Well, I just want to add, I'm looking at my notes here, basically, that I intend to communicate with if I'm elected, I intend to work with the constituents and communicate with them, besides the obvious outlets, TV and radio,
Sure.
and programs like yourself. You know, I do in the internet. I do plan to meet with a group of people because the precinct is so large, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, we have Los Botines and Peñitas. That's a different.
It's a
That's-
different
that's a
ballgame.
rural- that's a rural area. So
you
those
know.
people have different needs. And then you got the citizens and the constituents in Mines Road.
And then you got
And then you have all the one
west side.
downtown, the senior citizens. And let me tell you, you know that 50% of the voters in Precinct 4 are senior citizens.
Yeah.
And they have different needs. Yeah. So I tend to be active. And one of the things that I definitely did the last time, and my secretary can vouch for this, Paul, anytime I got a phone call, I would return the phone call that same day. Unless for some unforeseen reason I couldn't. But for the most part, it's very important to show the constituents and the people that voted you into office that you care.
Yeah. Well
Because
said.
if you don't return the phone calls, I mean, you know, that just sends a very bad message that you don't care.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. You have some tough issues in there.
That is
Okay, and it's great that you're trying to, you know, cut the budget and seeing everything else in there, you know, and it's going to be a good one. But you know, I think the people are behind you, and
I think, like I said earlier, I think all the elected officials, you know, we need to really communicate. And whatever differences we have, let's meet. You know, let's not have frivolous lawsuits. Duplication of services, we have to make the hard call and say, you know, the voters and taxpayers deserve it, demand it.
yeah,
You know, we'll take action. Take action to correct any duplication of services. And speaking about duplication of services, because it comes up in a lot of my discussions with the voters, Precinct 4 and other talk shows, radio talk shows, is I've been asked about the tax assessor collector.
okay,
Again, going back to duplication of duties. And the question has been, do you think, in your opinion, that services are being duplicated? And they throw out that example. Now, what about the tax collector? Can that person collect the taxes for the city and the school districts? Well, my answer is yes.
yeah,
There's other counties that do that, Bexar County, Nueces County, Harris County. So if they're doing it, I guess it makes sense.
yeah, you're absolutely correct because it's true.
Makes sense. But here locally, just it's yeah, you know, I guess it's a what they say, it's politica, you know, or something.
And you have, in a lot of counties, you don't have a department voter, ¿cómo se llama? Elections department. It's done straight with the county clerk.
Mm-hmm.
And plain and simple. A lot of counties have that, and you know, so there's a lot of stuff in there that if you really want to cut down, make this thing grow, you have to prune it. You have to prune that tree. Cut the, you know, you might have a branch. It's a beautiful branch, but if it's going to ruin your roof,
Yeah.
córtala. You know?
And along those lines, again, I've dealt with a lot of people. You know, like I said, I've worked hard this campaign, Paul. I started basically block walking in October, and I put a lot of signs. I personally put the signs, and I know a lot of these people see me and they kind of like that. They've mentioned to me, "Usted también pone los anuncios?" Digo, claro. I'm not proud. You know, I don't have money to pay somebody to put my signs. So when I meet with these people, and they're telling me about the duplication of services, and they understand that, well, nobody wants to give up their jobs. You know, like if the school districts, for example, I had an individual mention the issue that if we let Webb County tax assessor collector collect all the taxes, and if they don't do it right, or there's something happens, or there's some glitches, that's a justification for the city and the school district to say, well, we need our own.
Right.
And the same thing can happen with the elections office. If there's a glitch in the election process, you don't think the city is going to be, the city's not going to be too happy. Or there's an election in the school districts and there's a glitch. Well, that's going to be an argument for them to have their own department.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So if the county is going to be the central point where we're going to do the election process, and the same thing for the taxes, we got to make sure that we have an efficient individual, an efficient department that can do the job right.
Yeah. No. And the tax assessor's department was doing a good job. I mean, you know, and I never figured out how come the other entities didn't go through there. I mean, but again.
Well, quite frankly, and I'm a straight shooter.
Yeah, I mean,
and I tell you, I call a spade, and that's what people are telling me. That the taxes could have been handled by the Webb County the Webb County tax assessor collector. But then again, there's also arguments that what ifs. Well, in the elections office, I want to make sure that I communicate this to the listeners and the voters that I had concerns, Paul. I had concerns way back then. I don't know if you recall that we made a change in the elections administrator. Yeah. And this time around, I want to make sure nothing would satisfy me more than to have a very smooth election process and no glitches.
But it seems that almost every other race there's a glitch.
And that's sad. That is sad because that's the primary duty of that office. And we're all humans, right? We're all humans, and we all, we're humans.
And speculations go there, and conspiracy theories go out the door, and so on and so forth. We were talking to the county judge, and he said now that they have cameras, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. And one of the ideas that we were talking, and I said, well, how come you don't appoint one, have a fingerprint, ¿cómo se llama? Combination lock for you to be able to go inside the door. I go, you have 4 constables, you have a sheriff, you have a county attorney and a district attorney. Pick one of the ones that's not running, hand that head, whether, for example, I'm going to use the sheriff, and the sheriff, you're the only one that can fingerprint your the lock, and you're the only one that can open that lock. So guess what? You're responsible for that. You cut all this stuff off, you'll save everybody headaches, and you'll eliminate all these speculations that occur.
That is correct.
And I think that's something that everybody should bring forward, because I think we do need a safe place,
right,
for our ballots to be held,
Well, I think with the appointment of the interim elections administrator, he has his hand a full plate.
No, yeah. And I feel sorry for being him,
And
because he has to step up the plate, and now people are looking at you.
I have faith in him, and
he's a good man and everything, but you know what I'm talking about. Hey,
yes.
They just,
like I said earlier, I just want no glitches.
Yeah, they threw him inside their hornet's nest.
If 40,000 people vote, we got to account for 40,000 ballots. I don't want to find out, doing a number person, I don't want to find out, Commissioner, we only have 39,000 ballots. Well, then how come we have 40,000 people that voted?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. Hey, los muertos.
I mean, that's just a hypothetical, right, Paul?
No,
and you're laughing, but I'm not, because I don't want that to happen. Because you know what? Let me share this story. I have a lot of stories. People don't know that in 4 years, I was in a lot of committees, and you know why, Paul? Because I had the time. People think that, well, he's a businessman. He doesn't have. When is he going to be out there? I served as chairman of the redistricting committee, the ones that do the boundary every 10 years. I served as chairman of the collective bargaining committee. That's a deputy association.
Yeah.
I served in the finance committee, knowing I'm accountant, and the budget committee, just to name a few. So it wasn't like I was just sitting back in my office in my seat, my firm's building, not working for the constituents of Precinct 3. I was very involved.
No, you were.
And I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I want to bring that knowledge back to the county. And whatever areas I can improve, by all means, I'm all for it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have all the answers and.
But you're willing. You're open to learn, and that's a good part.
One of my friends always keeps reminding me, you have 2 ears and one mouth. Listen first and then speak. So that I'm going to try to do that, follow that advice. So I'm here for the public and for the taxpayers.
You know, and I keep telling this to everybody. People need to go out there and exercise the right to vote. You have to go out there, make time and early vote. I wish we had a list of where the precincts were, because now they're saying that they changed Providence and they moved it over, I don't know where.
I think to the new fire station. That's what I heard, right?
They said the fire station, and then they said the church. No, so I don't know where that one went to. So I would like to find out exactly.
Yeah, I think maybe if you can invite the new
Sure,
elections administrator, he can maybe it'll be a good
elaborate. I think that's a good idea, and bring them in and for him to explain how the electoral process actually works.
Right, and explain whether they're going to use electronic voting machines.
Sure.
Which I hope not. I mean,
everybody has their concerns. I mean, there's been a lot of.
Remember when they were used, and then we made an investment, we had all these machines, and then malfunction or they didn't work properly. What message does it send, Paul?
No, you're absolutely. And you know the funny part, it's the same party. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need to.
I mean, we have to change. We need to change. I mean, yeah, I remember when I came back here, I had just moved back, and somebody had just run. It was a representative race, talking about 2000 when I moved back. And it came out in the newspaper. They were charging somebody because there was a lot of folks that were dead that had voted. No, hombre, tenían más gente que venir. The guy that makes The Walking Dead quiere poner aquí. They have more dead voters here. They're going to use them as zombies. You know, I mean, we really have to look into all that stuff. You know?
I believe the other day when I went to the elections office to turn in my campaign finance report, I just asked how many mail-in ballots have been requested, and I was surprised. I believe, if I remember correctly, I thought I heard 500. And I said, well, who can come in here and ask for how many mail-in ballots? And I think like we need to keep on the internet, in the county webpage of all the individuals that went in there, and they gave them 5, or they gave them 6, or they gave them 10, so they'll know if it's you, Paul. Let's just take a hypothetical. If you go, but why are you requesting all these mail-in ballots, Paul?
Yeah. Again, who are you going to put in there?
Yeah, who do you know, man?
You know what I'm saying?
You know, it seems like that'll be a limit of how many
you can take out.
500. Yeah, you know. I mean, I can understand that the senior citizens that live in the senior citizen home, that they can't drive to the voting site or whatever.
I understand all that,
but it needs to be controlled.
Here's another, and we've had this discussion with others, and you have a lot of senior citizens homes that all of a sudden the person's basically unconscious. He's living on a machine.
Yeah, who's filling out the ballot?
Who's filling out his ballot? You know, the last time he voted, Kennedy had just been shot. You know what I'm saying? So, ¿me entiendo que te digo?
Exactly.
I mean, they're out.
No, we need to eliminate all of that. All of that needs to be.
¿Quién está votando por él?
I mean, everybody talks about transparency. Well, let's actually speak louder than words.
No, I'm glad that we agreed to that. That's awesome.
No,
I mean, we need to change that.
I mean, you know me, you're never gonna find, and maybe I'm tooting my own horn, man, but you're never gonna find a more honest individual than me.
And and we laugh because there's a lot of stories that go on through here.
Oh,
and we, you know, and
hopefully a lot of good stories about me, man, not bad stories.
You know, about the voting process here, porque está. I know, so you know, everybody has that concern. So that's what I say.
Well, you know,
the new interim elections officer, he has his work cut out.
Oh yes, no doubt about it.
And he better, you know, all of a sudden, he's a great man. I know Mr. Tejas. He's a great attorney, and he needs to come out there and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do, and vámonos.
I agree. I'm reviewing my notes, and there's a couple of other points that I would like to make, if I may.
No, you can. Go ahead.
As far as some of the things that I accomplished the last time that I was your county commissioner, one of the other items that I co-sponsor this item, and a lot of people don't know this, that at the time, back in 2001, the county of Webb minimum wage was the federal minimum wage, which I believe at the time was $7.55. Well, together with another commissioner, we sponsored an item to increase it to $10, the minimum wage. And we had some people working in the maintenance department and some people in the road and bridge department, Paul, making minimum wage. That wasn't right, and it's not right. So I'm glad that It's
You
still
guys did that.
we did that, and back then we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have social media. I didn't post
No.
all those things.
Yeah, but how
You know?
has it changed now? Has it increased now? What is it now? What's the minimum wage for the county?
For
now?
the county, to be honest with you, Paul, I believe it's still $10. But I stand to be corrected. Okay? Now, one last thing that I sponsored, and a lot of people may have forgotten this, and you guys are, I know maybe Sergio's too young, but I think you remember this, that I sponsored an item in 2004. I was already leaving office, but my goal from the very beginning was accountability, less taxes. That was my slogan back then, and it still is. I introduced an item to lower the tax rate by 2 cents, and nobody thought it was going to pass. And I never thought that it was going to pass myself, but I needed to put it on the agenda because I promised the voters that and the taxpayers that I was going to do that. It passed. We lowered the tax rate, and it's probably the last time that the tax rate has been lowered.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people complaining, but it was going to affect our budget, that we were going to go under. What happened? Again, you can lower the tax rate or keep it the same if the tax base is expanding and the property valuations are increasing. That's how you generate more property tax revenue. And the county, look, thank God, the county continues to grow. We have a lot of these warehouses, a lot of these industrial companies that come in out of the mines road.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been very fortunate that the property tax revenues have been increasing. So there is we can't lower the tax rate, but I'm happy to say that if you compare us with some other counties the size of Webb, we're probably low.
Yeah.
There's some counties that are like a $1 or even more for every $100 of property valuation, and I believe we're at the 40, if I remember correctly, 48, I believe. 48 cents per every, or 52 cents per every $100 valuation.
Let's talk about the commissioner's court now. Do you see everybody working together or everybody fighting, or how, since you were there to now, ¿cómo lo ves? What do you think?
That's a loaded question, and it would be you that would ask that question. I think they're working together. When I was there the last time, I tried to work together. I tried to sponsor items on the agenda that were for the betterment of Precinct 3 in Webb County. And
you served two judges, right?
I served 2 judges.
You served with
Judge Mercurio Martinez
and Louis Bruni, correct?
and the Honorable Louis Bruni and Honorable Mercurio Martinez. It's funny that it's nice to have a unanimous vote, but if you really vote the issues, sometimes it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain interests in the precincts. Like, for example, Precinct 4 have a lot of the county roads.
Yeah.
So we need to budget, we need to have sufficient budget in the road and bridge department. So, of course, I'm going to advocate that position. But if I don't get 2 other commissioners to support me, it's not going to go anywhere, Paul.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to share this with you. When I was trying to get funding for the North Central Park, there was a gentleman agreement. Well, let me put it this way, because I don't want to get in trouble. When we went to New York, and that was the only time that I traveled to New York, and that was because I was going to make a pitch for the funding for the North Central Park. And my pitch basically was for $2.4 million, because I had already done a little bit of studies. Gene Melmares and I had already figured how much the landowners wanted for their properties, along those lines. Well, we secured the funding, but when the money was allocated and approved officially by the whole court, guess what happened? It got divided 4 ways. That was my first taste of welcome to politics, and negotiation, and I always thought, well, a gentleman agreement is a gentleman agreement. A shake hand,
That stopped a long time
ago.
ago.
Let me tell you.
Very few men can shake somebody's hand, and that's it. You have a lot of people that you need lawyers, documents about this much, and you need 4 or 5 different lawyers and 50 different signatures just to make sure that guy's going to do what he's doing. And that's the sad part that we've lost now in our society. Because back then, you shook somebody's hand, that was it. That was done deal. And that has stopped. You know, that I guess that, you know, there's.
I think the commissioners' courts are working together. But we need to really work together with all elected officials. I don't support, I do have an issue with duplication of services. I don't support, like I mentioned earlier, frivolous lawsuits, and especially, you know, among elected officials. We need to work together, and I think that if we elect, certainly myself, if I get the opportunity to be commissioner for Precinct 4, I would reach out to all the elected officials that I have differences with and try to work it out for the benefit of the Webb County residents and taxpayers. And that's what I intend to do.
That's what needs to happen. You know, and we need more people that listen. I tell this to everybody. Everybody seems to care about their community once they go in. Once they're driving to go in, then a lot of them get elected. Then they start doing the project, and they realize, wait a minute, in 2 years I have to run again. So they stop caring about this, and they start worrying about re-election and bring up their funds, and all of a sudden all this falls. Okay, then they get reelected. If they get reelected, then they start back trying to catch up, and then they lose it somewhere along the line. And I think that's when people lose. I guess that's where people get caught up in that rat race, and all of a sudden, and people need to go back to what they stated, their promises, you know, and it's hard to do in this time.
What some of the voters have communicated to me is that they seem to. What they stated to me is that there seems to be a voting pattern in the court. Like, and what I mean by that, and what I guess what they meant by that is that the same people vote the same way. I mean, like I said earlier, and it's unfortunate because it works like that at the national level too, Paul. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be like that. It should be vote the issue. And if you're for less taxes, then you vote for less taxes. And if you're for more taxes, well, then you vote for more taxes. But not the same people always voting the same way.
Yeah,
that's what they're telling me, Commissioner. You know, it seems like the same people always vote the same way. And how do I reply to that, Paul?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell them, no, you're wrong. I mean, they view the meetings. They I mean, you know, it comes out in the paper. So I cannot tell them, no, what you're seeing is not really what you're seeing. Fake news. No, I mean, you know, it's not. You know.
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. I mean, it's, you know, when you see the antics and you see everything, oh, hey, párale. We have to come back to what we care about, and that's community. And I think what the voters that we have now are not only testing their waters, but they're also placing the public official in check. You didn't do this, well, guess what? We're going to check you out. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you loud and clear.
Anything else? Number one, wish you you the best of luck.
Thank you, Paul.
And we got 2 more weeks for early vote. And then the elections is March
6th.
March the 6th. And everybody out there, I keep telling everybody this, vote, go out and exercise your right to vote. Because number one, if you do not vote, you cannot complain, you cannot bitch, period. You have to be able to stand your ground in what you say. Go out there, take time out of your day, and go do your duty, you know?
And in closing, Paul, if I may, if you allow me, I just want to mention this to the listeners and to the voters at Precinct 4, that if you want more information on my campaign platform, you can visit my website, and it's www.velasquez2018, and I'm also on Facebook, Felix Velasquez for County Commissioner, Precinct 4. Now, if for early voting and for the day of the election, you need transportation, I do have my office. My office is basically my campaign headquarters.
Sure.
Paul. And we do have lots of trucks. My truck and my partner's truck, you know, they're a super crew. So if people need a ride, we'd be more than happy to take them to the voting sites.
Gestures. Good gestures.
Especially for the senior citizens, if they want me to go downtown to go pick them up, you know, I'll pick them up. And I'll, you know, if I have to sing, I'll sing. And again, the number for the for the headquarters, 723-1040. Felix Velasquez for County Commissioner, Precinct 3, 723-1040. Together, we'll make a difference in Precinct 4, and it's for the betterment of all of us and our children. Thank you.
No, thank you. And again, be safe. And you guys out there, stay safe. Let's not text and drive. I saw an ugly wreck this week, so be safe once more. Next time.